All right, what's going on, you guys? So, today, what I want to do is just break it down in simple steps of how you can land a tech job and what I have done and what I've seen others do. The first approach that I learned, which is more of a rifle method, and that is to learn everything you can about the company as you apply. And so, then we're going to talk about spray and pray and how I do that using Easy Apply on LinkedIn. Uh, then what do you do after you apply? How can you utilize LinkedIn to inquire about next steps? And then what do you say during the interview? When are you going to hear back from them? What if they ghost you? What what can you do in that when that happens? We're going to talk about case studies, playbooks, behavioral assessments. I had a real shift in my thinking about behavioral assessments. So I'm curious if you've had this same shift. And then what did I miss? So I want to hear from you in the comment section. Did I miss something? Would you add to this list? So I have my notes up here and I have my mind map over here. And I'm going to talk about how I use a mind map to prepare for my interview. I took CourseCareers, and one of the things they taught was, and it probably was good at that time when I first got into tech, is to learn everything I can about a company. Don't don't spray and pray, basically. Maybe they've changed it up now, but at that time that was the case. And that's what I did. I found a company. Well, I looked at a few of them, and I found one that I really liked. They had a podcast, so I listened in on their podcast. I found out who their CEO was, and really, I made a video which they required. I put my heart and soul into it, basically. After having interviewed a few candidates on my own when I was a BDR at the company, I can really see how I stood out, and I'll talk about kind of ways to do that. So yeah, that was the method that I learned, and that was to zero in on a company and really invest a lot of time and energy into them. My video that I made was, had a lot of energy in it, a lot of enthusiasm. I've seen people make videos and they're just maybe they're so confident that they're relaxed and the energy does the they don't give those energetic vibes. So I would say that if you are going to make a video, really show that there's some energy that you have, that you really want to be a part of the team, and then why they should choose you. If you have a videographer background, you definitely want to leverage that. If you can make like a fun video about how you understand what it's like to be their ideal customer, needing a solution like they offer, then that's what you want to do. Absolutely, I've seen that work wonders. So use your talents. What differentiates you from others? That's the method I learned, and it's not a bad method. It was probably good for me when I first started, but we move on and we have to be more efficient with our time. So here's what I'm doing now. And so I do the spray and pray. I'm not going to invest in a company, give them my time and energy until they acknowledge me. I have a Google spreadsheet. I've got the date, the position, the company, whether or not they responded, and a note. Maybe if they asked a question, I'll put in my answers. And if I have an interview, I'll put in the information, what happened, what was their chief concern. Putting all my eggs in one basket is not going to work out. When they do, this is how I go about learning about the industry and the solution, and whether or not I want to be a part of this company and pitch their product and service. So I will obviously I'll use ChatGPT. I also use NotebookLM. And so if you're not familiar with that, you can upload around 80 to 90 videos of the same topic, and it will condense it down into a 30-minute podcast, and it's interactive as well. So you can ask questions. It's really, really neat. It will also generate a video. So if you're not too sure how the industry works, it'll make a really cool little video. So maybe like 6 minutes long or something. Yesterday, I put in a video that was 30 minutes and it condensed it down to 6 minutes. And and it explained it way better than the video that I uploaded. Once I have all my information and just the information that I'm looking for, and I have a mind map, and I'm going to put it somewhere here in the video. You have your basic application questions. Why sales? Why should we pick you? Then there's the behavioral questions like, what would you do in this situation? Name a time when you had this happen in your career. I will also look for case studies here shortly, and so I'll link those into my mind map. I'll look to see if they have any upgrades. What product would I be expected to upsell? And sales and marketing side, I'm going to look into who the sales director and marketer is, the account executives. I'm going to be under an account executive, so I want to know who those people are, how long they've been around. Always remember with your account executive, they are there to make money. So always, step back if you don't agree. Once you get into a role and you don't agree with kind of their approach at one point in time or so, just take a step back and realize they're trying to do the best they can with their expertise. They are professional, and they work hard to strategize. So just kind of trust the process. I'm going to look into what a cold call might look like for this company. So I'll put it into ChatGPT, give me an example of what a cold call opener and open-ended question might be for this company. And I'm also going to look into how they would source their leads. Now, on the job description, it's probably going to say that you're going to be sourcing leads and so on. The reality is you're not going to know until you interview. That's what one of them said. And when I interviewed with the company, it was basically they're getting 400 inbound a month, and that's all I'm expected to book meetings for. And so there is no outbound sourcing. There's no built with list. There's no going through a POS, a directory, or what have you. I'm going to look into their go-to-market strategy, their ideal customer, the industry that they solve for. So I've been in tech, and I've also been in a third-party single-family property management space. It was the same industry. One was a tech solution for them, and then I jumped into the property management space to outbound and do inbound. I'm going to look at their core values. I'm going to look at how long they've been around. I'm going to find out who their CEO is, or what their annual recurring revenue is, as best as I can. Their value proposition. I have heard that a great formula for that is we help X to Y by or through Z. So if you take their URL link and put it into ChatGPT and say, based on this link and this company's website, fill in the XYZ in terms of what their value proposition is. And so it'll give you a breakdown of core, and then from a vendor management perspective, analytics focused perspective, e-commerce integration angle, and so on. I really like to break it all down, and I can do this within a day or so. I'll just, piece all this together. So I don't need to focus on one company. Once they acknowledge me, I can book a meeting a day or two out, researching them really quickly and getting a good sense and grasp of everything that they do as a company. Yeah, and I will also look into how I can create a sense of urgency. Sales, you're always trying to create a sense of urgency. How much money are they leaving on the table? What are the consequences of not going this route and taking your solution? So you always want to be mindful of that. Of course, you always want to be learning how to close. Then formulate a pitch. I also look into to see if they have any YouTube videos, any demonstrations that I can kind of get a sense of what their software is all about. Kind of jot down some of the lingo that I can use during my interview. Now, right now, maybe this is all so new to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. And I know exactly what you feel like, because prior to, like, I guess 2 years ago, I was in your same shoes. I had no idea what a CRM looks like or a workflow because I went through the CourseCareers course, and I still didn't get a full grasp or understanding of how a workflow works. But once you get into the seat, don't worry about that. Get into the seat, use ChatGPT, really leverage the heck out of that thing, and walk me through step by step how this would work. Give me scenarios, and then you'll figure this out. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's all very, very similar. And that's why people can easily hop from tech job to tech job, because most of this is very it's nothing new. So I also get on Glassdoor, see if they have good reviews, what the current and past employees are saying. That helped me out recently, and it was spot on. So now you have put your applications out there, and now what do you do? So again, I use Easy Apply on LinkedIn. Like I said, if you can send a video, do that. Put your best foot forward. But now that you've put out your application, you can go onto LinkedIn, find the hiring manager, find somebody that could point you in the right direction. You can even reach out to the CEO if you want to. And just send them a quick note that says, "Hi, my name is X. I just applied for X position and thought I would connect. Curious what's the next steps, and or if there's anybody I should be connecting with." That'll go a long ways. So it's just that extra step to show that you are very much interested in this role, and just a little extra step is just enough to differentiate you from your competition. Now that we've got the interview, right? Of course, always respond in email before and after. Thank them for the interview. Use best practices. Have ChatGPT give you best practices on email etiquette. Less is more, right? You don't want to sound desperate. You don't want to make things that come up in the interview as a concern. You don't want to make them an issue, right? If something comes up in the interview, whether it's a time zone difference or something, make it a non-issue. Be confident, and don't bring it up a whole bunch. Okay, so in your interview, so obviously dress nicely. Okay, I would not wear this, even though I'm in a nice shirt. I wouldn't wear this to an interview. I'd be in a buttoned up. I don't go for the tie, but I still look professional. So they're going to ask you about your experience. As far as questions go, I would ask questions about your key performance indicators, KPIs, and so they're going to be very much interested in that. I've listened to managers in companies like Snowflake. Anytime you can be more data focused is a candidate that's going to stick out, because that's a person they can promote to account executive, and they don't just stop and hit a ceiling at sales representative or business development representative. And how would you get compensated? Is it when they show up to the meeting, or is it based off that you have asked the right questions and gathered the correct information from them to properly qualify them? Okay. Be aware of different sales methodologies too. I know in CourseCareers we learned spin selling, which is BANT, but there's MEDPIC, MEDIC, and various kinds out there. Okay, another thing is do not bring up compensation in your meetings. Let them bring that up. If in my case, I live in Europe, so unfortunately I'm never going to be. I hope that's not true. I hope that I do get compensated as an American, which I am an American, born and raised in Texas. I've seen that usually when you're offshore, then you're going to be compensated less. But it changes. Even at the account executive level, it's always going to be a little bit less than what a stateside account executive will get. So I hope that I get more, and that would be great. Wish me luck. They might ask you what your sales process looks like. Just kind of get one going. Give an example. The main thing is that you have something to say. right? So have something to say, come prepared. Is there a specific book that they tout within the company? So 2 books that the company I was with were like, raving fans of was Traction, or What the Heck is EOS? And I'm going to do a book review on that. It's the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and everybody has a system. And this book just helps companies, um, everyone in the company, in the organization, to be on the same page. And so that was super helpful, and I saw that play out, to the T, and it was really amazing. And they were highly productive, especially during the meetings. They were very well structured. So I really, that was a great experience. Another one was Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. So, but be aware of that. I mean, with audiobook on YouTube, I can turn it up to a speed of 1.85 or at 9. Some people can go double the speed. On my Speechify, I can go a little more than the double the speed. But you can go through a book on a weekend by turning it up on double speed. Always mention a favorite sales book that you have, or author, and what you've learned from them. Whether that's Grant Cardone, whether that's Alex Hormozy. Again, I mean, I've watched hours of Alex Hormozy. He's got a 4-hour teaching, and I've gone through that a couple of times. And then like Grant Cardone has the Closer Survival Guide. That's amazing. You really need to be focused on closing. Nothing happens until you have made it close. You've closed the deal. So that's really a good mindset, a good book to help build that kind of mindset. The Qualified Sales Leader by John McMahon. I haven't read it, but I've listened to John McMahon enough that I'm about to buy the book. So that would be a really good one. He's a 5-time CRO of billion-dollar companies. Trish Bertuzzi is one of them. Lisa McLeod. And in your interview at the end, you do want to ask a closing question. Just asking the question, what are next steps from here? I interviewed for the tech company that I was at. My sales manager was impressed by that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that I'm a good fit for the company? That's one question you can ask. If you get a 9, hey, great. What are next steps from here? Right? Always be trying to close them, and being assumptive and confident. Right? Work on confidence. Remember, in your interview, you're trying to sell them on you as well. So do your best. Okay. After doing all of this research, you have your mind map out, you have your pitch, you may even do a role play. I recently interviewed with a company. I crushed my interview. I crushed it. And the hiring manager had nothing to say as far as my role play. It was, I'm ready. Today, I could cold call their ideal customers, no problem. I prepared well for it. Of course, now I have a lot of experience now. You can also use, I think the app is character.ai or something. So you can get use an AI agent to role play with. So that's really cool. Yeah, you may impress them so much so that they may offer you an account executive role. And I would go as far as to say is, after all of this, you probably should even try for the account executive role. You're done with the interview. All right. Great meeting. Talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, you don't hear anything from the company. Oh my gosh, freak out, right? No, don't freak out. You feel like you're being ghosted. They've gone dark on you, but they haven't said no. What you'll want to do is, after the interview, send an email thanking them for their time and for considering you as a candidate for this role. And you're very much looking forward to next steps, and very much interested in and enjoy the interview and so on, right? Best in your name. Okay, you don't hear from them for a couple of days. Oh my gosh. So let's say it's Thursday. They said they're going to speak with the hiring manager, their superiors. And so what do? So on Monday, send them another email. Again, less is more, right? It's a good principle. Don't sound desperate. Just say, hey, I'm still very much interested in this role. Put it into ChatGPT to figure out a subject line that stands out. Never use, hey, following up or things like that, right? Be different. Always find something that would differentiate you and make you sound different from everybody else, which you are. You are unique, you. And so make sure they see that and they realize that, right? So think outside of the box. On average, it takes 5 to 12 touches to close a deal. Some would even say even in-person meetings too. And they might be testing you. Okay, you said that you're going to follow up. Let's see if they're going to, be a man or woman of their word, right? So that's what I intend to do. Right now, I'm being ghosted, so to speak. I'm not getting any response. They have not said no. So we want to remain positive, optimistic, and say, hey, just want to know where I stand. Just reaching out. Very much interested in this role, kind of thing. And every email is going to be a little different, right? Never send the same email. You start sounding spammy, okay? But it's just a little touches, and that means that's big because it shows that you are interested. You really are in this company. This company that I'm doing that to, I really am interested. So yeah, follow up, and that's sales because you've got to follow up. The gold is in the follow up, right? So wish me luck. Let's back up just a little bit, and I want to talk about case studies. I think case studies. So case studies are basically how your product, the company's product or service, has helped a company or a few companies in this way, that way, or another. So how it's made an impact in their business, right? So the company I was with, the tech company, they had 20 interviews of the client interviews, and those were played a pivotal role in helping me to understand how the automation helps them in the day to day. I don't think I could have done what I did had I not had those case studies. I studied them, and I knew all of those clients. And you'll want a company that has case studies because, and let me tell you why. Because their sales is hard, and if you don't have those trophies of victory on the website, they're not just only good for sales and marketing purposes. They're also good for the organization and to remind you of the purpose and mission and what it is you are doing. What is the change that you affect? You will want a company that has this. That means they have their ducks in a row. And I interviewed with a company not long ago, and their website is filled with stock photos and 0 case studies. They even had a repeat of a Google review, which I don't know why anybody would do that. And when I asked him, what is, in terms of case studies, is it in the short run or long run on the roadmap? And he said he's not convinced that they need them. If you don't motivate your team, if you don't have something that motivates your team, you're just going to be hitting a brick wall, and you're not going to go very far. And they don't. And they've been around for 8 or 9 years, and they should be a lot more established than they are right now. These things will motivate you because in times there were times where I was like tapping out almost, and I had to lean on those and write down like 30 to 40 different things that we do that changes people's lives and would increase morale. And so you will need those. So get on their website, find out if they have any case studies. Quick way to do that, really, sometimes it's hard to find them, is put in the ChatGPT their URL, give me, list out their case studies, you're good to go. Okay, if they don't have any, time to move on. So money and compensation, yes, they have to be there. As Zig Ziglar said, money is reasonably close to oxygen. That's just me. 𝐟𝐢𝐧𝐝, she's a sales expert and author, and she even says that for your sales team, the manager should be like daily, every day, sharing one story of how your product or solution has affected change and really turned companies around, or freed the owner up to do high value tasks, or be a consultant, for example, or help them work on the business and not in the business. I mean, totally freed them up. Are they more active in their community now because of your product or solution? So there's so many things that you really want to hear that and be encouraged. Uh, why? It's all about the why, huh? Why do we do what we do, right? So, oh yeah, and by the way, when I left the company at that time, they had accumulated like 50 different case studies, so it was really amazing. Now let's talk about playbooks. When I went into that company, there was no playbook. I was a part of putting that together, and really it was me just feeding off of my AE and him guiding me to book those meetings. And so it was really funny because he was like, "Here's a cup, just kind of talk about the." It was really features, and it really features more than anything. Um, very very little about benefits, but come see this cup. You got to see it. It'll knock your socks off, kind of thing. iPhone versus flip phone kind of reality, old versus new. And it was really really funny. But I booked meetings with pure enthusiasm. I mean, listening back to my recordings. So and another thing is always be open to constructive feedback from your manager. Ask them to listen to your recordings. Where can you improve? So with playbook, some will say don't even go to a company that doesn't have a playbook. So it's all up to you. I mean, can you work with something from scratch and try to learn it? Again, I could do that because of the case studies and things like that. And I had a great account executive that helped me out and helped me to stay in the game. So it's totally up to you. Okay, let's talk about behavioral assessments now. This is huge. It's almost like a giant epiphany. The way that I would take those assessment tests, and maybe you've done the same thing, but so let me know in the comments. Basically, I approached it like a good employee, right? Yes, I'm patient, meaning I'm going to be patient with my coworkers, right? But my mindset wasn't from the point of view of how will that person in that seat, that specific role, operate when it comes to dealing with customers, clients, prospects, and so on. I had a huge shift right here. And the way that came about was I was listening to a webinar where the owners of a few companies were discussing the assessment and what they look for and why. And they talked about how if you have a salesperson, you don't want them to be patient. So they're looking for somebody who's not patient. So therefore, anytime on the assessment it says, "Are you patient during this time, that time, or another time?" How would you respond, right? Quickly send an email, or wait a couple of days, or something. Quickly send an email, right? And so they want to know that you're going to be following up, right? You're not going to be affected by people going dark on you or ghosting you, right? So you're going to stay on top of stuff and be checking in on things, right? And that has been a game changer. That has really changed things for me. So I hope all of this helped you. I believe they're all going to get you far, right? The sky's the limit, and think outside of the box. But did I miss anything? Leave me a comment in the comment section, and if you like the video, hit subscribe, hit the bell. YouTube algorithm loves that stuff. And if you're thinking about getting into tech sales, you can jump over to CourseCareers, use this link that I provide in the comments and in my description, and you can save $50 when you sign up for CourseCareers. So again, let me know if I missed anything. Thanks for watching.